Hello and welcome to another edition of Pulp Picks. My name is Patrick.
I'm Fritz.
I'm Sarah.
And we're here to give you this week's reading recommendations for New Comic Book Day. That was pretty smooth. That was better than last week. All right, sounds good. Well, so every Wednesday we put a whole bunch of fresh books out on the shelves. Publishers come out with all new stuff. Some of them release technically on Tuesday. Most of them release on Wednesdays. But we've got a massive wall full of books this week. There's a ton of stuff, a whole bunch of number ones. And so much so that we all picked number ones this weekend. Yeah, right?
Yep.
So let's get started with Sarah.
Sure. So this week I picked Images Click Click Boom number 1 by Doug Wigner. It is really interesting. It's essentially this character who appears to be mute, but she's trying to communicate through these Polaroid photos, basically. But she's going up and people don't understand what's happening. And I feel like many of us in this day and age can understand the weird vibe feeling of someone coming up to you, taking photos and not saying a word about it.
Yeah.
You were going to say something?
Oh, I was going to... Sorry Patrick was selling yesterday, but for another time.
Oh, okay, fair. But there's obviously more that goes into it, but there seems to be this... podcast journalist, I guess is what she's calling herself, is this other character, and she's trying to figure out some nefarious activities. At one point, the main character, who she refers to as Elton John because of her lovely glasses, goes into this bank, and I think both you and I were a little concerned about what was happening because you see not some great things, but you don't know what's happening. But the main character has gone into the bank and bad things happen. And then we learn later, of course, the bank was robbed and all this other stuff. So we don't really know much about her other than she appears to be mute and uses photos to try and communicate with other people. And there's some bad things happening in the world that this podcast reporter is trying to figure out. So I'm really interested to see where it goes. I thought the art was really fun. They do some clever things in terms of flashbacks. I was telling Patrick, it kind of gave me some Memento vibes, just because like she would look at the photos and then there would be a memory associated with it. But she's more so using the photos to try and communicate with other people as opposed to using them to try and remember things. But the author is using them as a means to take us back into the memories, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So this is one I would add to your read list. I thought it was really...
Yeah, well, and there seems like there's going to be a lot to unravel here. We see some flashbacks to the main silent character's youth, but they're just teeny tiny glimpses.
Yeah.
We get to know the podcast journalist a bit, but they're talking to somebody on the other end of the phone that we don't know who it is.
Who's urging her to not just be a podcast journalist.
And then there also appears to be some evil corporate entity that's up to something no good, but we have no idea what it is.
No clue.
But they're obviously involved with some bad people doing some bad things. And the art was really gorgeous. I like the coloring in it too. It was really cool. And the idea of the Polaroids is just... I thought it was super cool.
Especially in this day and age.
Yeah. Well, and they made kind of a comeback, I don't know, was that like a decade ago? They kind of got popular again with kids. And
Robin has one for him.
Yeah, so. I know Bryn really wanted one. So, very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Fritz, what have you got?
So I've got Black Panther number 1, our Marvel's most recent relaunch for the titular character, this time by Eva Ewing and Chris Allen. So if you haven't been reading Black Panther for a while, he has been through the ringer.
Yeah.
Accidentally got involved with colonizing a bunch of space and turning it into an intergalactic empire. That was a whole thing.
Yep.
Wakanda isn't a monarchy anymore, and he got kicked out for it. That was a whole thing. So right now, what he's doing, since he's no longer king, he's decided he's going to secretly become the protector of the city burning T'Chaka, named after his father, to reconnect with the people, because he's starting to be have I being a king and a hero, have I ever really been a part of the people in the country? I've always been above them and to the side of them. I've never really got to experience like how they like live their lives. And so like a lot of this issue is him just kind of like there's definitely action, like he gets to like get in a couple fun fights, but you get to see it's a lot of him kind of just like going around the city, like exploring like all these different factions. Like there's the cult of the Ibis, which is this like religious group that's like very prominent in the city. There's like multiple different kind of like gangs that are like kind of like vying for like different control. There's you see like the like growing pangs of transitioning from like a monarchy to like a parliamentary democracy, like people being like, oh, things take longer now because of paperwork and all that. Like he's getting to see like firsthand like what is it like to live in this brave new world when you don't have like, I like how he puts it where like in Wakanda, like you never don't have necessities, but there's nothing wrong with wanting to have more than that. Like you like what happens when like your city's well off, but like compared to like the rest of the country, like you're kind of like on the like lower like rung of it. Like how does that affect you?
Yeah.
And I don't know, I really enjoy a lot of the characters it introduces. It does some fun stuff with some old concepts like the old like Wakandan secret police. I'm going to butcher probably how it's pronounced, but the like Hatutsuri or like what like the people who basically just wear like white versions of his outfit. Like they've kind of been like disbanded, so like they're one of the like gang factions basically running around the city, so he's having to deal with like that part of his legacy. And I don't know, there's some interesting things that happen at the very end of this issue. You were excited about one of them.
Yeah, I think there's a character that I've been, I don't know, for the last few months I've been talking about how they're underutilized and should show, like, how is this character not being put in anything right now?
And then the big reveal at the end of this issue is like, oh, this character's going to show. I was
super excited about it, yeah.
But it's also, like, it's not just that. There's a bunch of new characters. I'm not sure exactly what her deal is. Like, she's got, like, a whole, like, spiked whip thing that like, she might be a bad guy, but she, like, seems to have, like, some kind of code of honor. Like, she's like, oh, I wasn't expecting you here. I won't kill you then, because I wasn't planning on it. Don't get in my way, please. Please and thank you.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, I don't know. It's just a really strong setup issue. I'm loving the feeling of the city. I just like, I don't know, there's something about like, it's not like quite him being Batman, but like him kind of being like this silent guardian, because it's not him just fighting crime, like he's doing like other little things, like preparing like little electrical grids so like a street has like its lights working and stuff. Like
sure.
He's just like, he wants to connect so badly with these people and he just doesn't really know how to. And it's going to be interesting to see like how he like over the course of this figures it out, if he can at all.
Sure.
And also really dig his new design. We've got a variant cover up here that kind of like shows it off with like this new like kind of like cape, this like super cool like shoulder pauldron thing. Yep. Like it's super dope. But no, really strong start. We were talking about like hopefully like this like is a really big popular run. People will really get the Black Panther through it.
Yeah, it's been a while since Black Panther has had a title that's really moved.
Yeah, like
at least at our store.
Yeah, but no, I'd love to see this one be the one that does it.
Yeah, I have it on my pull list and I flipped through it. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I'm super excited for it.
Yeah. But speaking of things people are excited for.
So, my pick this week is Robert Kirkman's new Void Rivals #1. And there has been a ton of buzz around this book. Some of it came a little on the late side for us. So be really prepared for this launch of #1 today. Luckily, we got in and got more issues just in time while the distributor still had them available. But yeah, so we've got some shelf copies available here. We've got a bunch of people who already have it on their pull and hold. There are a lot of rumors online about what this book is doing at Image. And if you're in the know or you've heard those rumors...
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. And if you don't, by the time you read this book, you will know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the main setup in this issue, though, is... I think I used Enemy Mine, the 1980s, Louis Gossett Jr. and... I'm blanking on
Dennis Quaid.
Dennis Quaid. movie where basically it's the old story of there's two soldiers from opposing sides who end up stranded with each other, and in order to survive, they've got to decide if they're going to work, if they can get past everything and try to work with each other to survive. It's happening out in space. They're from, two different civilizations
like
that we're completely unfamiliar with.
Yeah, I think they're called
time.
Agorian and like Zeltarian or something
very,
something very like 80s sounding.
Very 80s, 70s, 80s space sounding stuff. So it's really well done. I was asking if the artist Lorenzo Del Felici
I think they've
done stuff that I've seen before.
I think they've done other stuff with Kirkman, but I'm not entirely sure.
It's gorgeous. I really like the art. I like the story. There was, I don't know, like you get the feeling that this is kind of a calm moment in a very tense universe or something. Like there's this big conflict happening, but because there's these two, stranded castaways that are trying to figure out how to survive and get away from where they're at right now, which is completely desolate, apparently. You get this kind of quiet moment, but you do get all this tension and drama kind of at the edges of it all. Yeah.
Well, one of my favorite things, speaking of the drama, is one of them has a talking hand that is simultaneously like, it's helpful, but it's also not.
Yeah. Handroid.
Yeah.
Also very awful and clever at the same time. Yeah. Yep. Handroid. Yep. So it was really cool, and there's a couple big reveals at the end of it. I will try to keep this as spoiler free as possible, but there's a major thing that happens at the end of it.
More to come, we'll say that.
Yeah. Yep. Oh man, you got me really tempted to drop a line there, but I
think I know the line. I've been fighting this whole time.
And at the beginning, if you know, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, there's another line there. We could have. But anyway, so those are our picks this week. If you want to have it spoiled, or if you want to have it confirmed, because it's been all over the internet for the last couple weeks, feel free to come in and visit us here. We'll be back next week with our picks, and then be sure to like, follow, subscribe, do all of that fun stuff. And most importantly, come in and visit us here at the store and pick up your books, and we'll get the opportunity to see what you had for your Pulp Picks. Oh, leave that in the comments, too. I always forget to say that. Leave a comment. We love the comments. So, all right. Well, thanks, everybody, and have a great week of reading.
Hey! My husband just got a job in Minot.
Oh, did he? Oh, that's awesome.